and welcome for this week's edition of the Q&As with S.Chablis. And this week we've got 3 different questions, one on Twitter, one on Facebook, and one on the mail. The S.Chablis mail, is it a bit more correct to say that? First question, the Burgundy portfolio. And you can follow the Burgundy portfolio on Twitter at Burg Portfolio. Are you also an Irancy amateur? And can you tell us what dish to pair Irancy with? So for those, first, the answer, yes. At S.Chablis you're going to find a lot of Chablis. Of course, that's the name, but a lot of Burgundy too, wines from Burgundy too, and of course Irancy. And I actually love Irancy because in Chablis we make whites, and in Irancy we make reds. So we're actually good friends. That makes sense. And Irancy is quite special because you've got Pinot Noir with a touch of César, if you can find some. And César is basically the rustic counterpart to Pinot Noir. So when you blend the two, you get wines that are with a bit more character, with a bit more personality, a bit more racy, if I can say, a bit more body. So of course, I've got Irancy. Let me show you. Just so I prove it. And there you go, one Irancy I carry. And I actually carry 100% César too, which is just a wonderful thing to drink. What would you pair Irancy with? Remember we are in the northern part of Burgundy, so less sun, less heat, and Pinot Noir. So you're bound to have elegant wines. You're not going to have fully rich wines you would find in the south of France. So maybe with a touch of César, you're going to find that personality. So that, to me, calls for, cheeses are going to be okay. And even with some Irancy, you can go for fish. But, meat, beef, and lovely, we call them côte de bœuf, but if you're in the US, I would say porterhouse would be lovely, grilled. And you're going to find in most Irancies, and maybe all of them, touches of cherry notes. That works beautifully with, we call them maghrébins, so duck meat, grilled, with a layer of fat. And then you just glaze the pan with a touch of Irancy and some cherries, and that works beautifully. Sandrine, hi, I've got questions about organic wines. Do you make some in Chablis? Is it getting big in Chablis? What are the differences between organic and classical wines? Well, we do make some in Chablis. I'm not saying it's getting big, but we're getting there, and more makers actually go towards making organic wines. Now, what are the differences? Well, there are different wine families, and I would say you would start with what you call classical, which is basically people using as many chemicals as they can, just to make sure everything is going to be good or okay or safe or whatever. I'm not saying it's a good idea, I'm just saying that actually can happen. Then you've got what we called agriculture raisonnée, so that's careful winemaking or reasoned winemaking, and that's just like you and I. Let's say the first category is when you can't help but taking medicine. You're ill, or you feel ill, or you think you can be ill, so you're going to take aspirin or whatever. Second category, the reasoned or careful winemaking, would be just like you and I. When you are ill, actually ill, runny nose, broken arm, you're going to see the doctors or you go to the pharmacist. And that's basically the same thing. If everything goes right in the vineyard, there's no reason why you should actually use chemicals. But just in case, when there's a problem, then you're going to use some. Then you've got the organic. Organic way, in Europe, you've got a label. That's a leaf or the BIB. And that's basically rules you have to follow to get that label. Just means you're going to use less chemicals, but you still can use sulfur or copper. So that's a bit more careful. Then you're going to have biodynamic wines. So that's organic wines pushed even further. So instead of using some of the chemicals you could still use, you're going for infusions and concoctions, and you follow a moon calendar. I know a lot of people are smiling when I say that, but it actually works. And I could show you a selection I have here at S.Chablis that makes beautiful wines. So is it the moon or is it just the talent of a wine grower? I'm pretty sure it's both. but it works. And then you've got something new and something I don't really understand yet. It's called natural wine or nature wines. The logic behind nature wine is basically saying you've got grape, it's going to ferment and you're going to make wines, and that's it. Of course you're going to take care about the vineyard and everything, but the less you intervene, the better it is. And again, I still have troubles. I mean, I haven't met someone who could explain that to me in a proper way. So know that it exists, and know that probably in the future I will be able to explain a bit more about that. So where do you stand in all that? A lot of makers are anyway in what I call reasoned agriculture or winemaking, because they understand that they can do whatever they want, and sometimes it's actually useless using too many products. So in Chablis, most of them, if not all of them, are at least at that level. Then there's a move towards organic wines, and some of them you're going to find the leaf or the label, and some of them are actually not interested in putting that leaf or label for many reasons, because that's the way they make wine anyway, so they don't need the marketing layer on top of that. And some of us just feel that anyway we're doing organic wines or maybe biodynamic wines, but just in case, and you know 2016 is weird, just in case we might need to use something at some point, because their job is actually to make wine, and if they don't make wine, they don't make a living, and if they don't make a living, they're going to fire people, and if they fire people, Chablis is going to crash. So again, I know some journalists feel that either you're in or you're out, you can't be in between the two, but when it's a business, and that's the way you make a living, and you make actually people live, it's probably different. Hope that answers your question. And then we've got, let me turn that around, we've got Pierre. Let's call him Peter. We see a lot more BIBs, bag-in boxes. Do you sell some? And what are the pros and the cons? Yeah, BIBs are getting big. In the past you had these big plastic containers, which were, let's say, for people who really love their wine, if that makes sense to you. If I were 3 liters and you open them, air was getting in, and that's it. So you had to drink fairly fast. Now, the bag-in-box is actually a pouch, and if you actually master and manage the process of putting the wine into the bag-in-box properly, that's a beautiful tool, because as there's no air inside, you just pour the glass of wine you want, put the bag-in-box or bib back in the fridge, and you're safe for another week, or maybe 2, or maybe 3, or maybe a month, or maybe 2 months. So that's actually a very good system. Do I sell some? I actually don't sell any. I love bottles. I love magnums. I don't sell half bottles too. Maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe in the future. Right now, no. And I'll be happy to send you to people who actually do that and do that properly. So can you find some Chablis in bag-in boxes? Yes, you can. Probably not some Grand Crus and Premier Crus. I mean, I haven't seen any. Maybe they do exist, but Petit Chablis and Chablis for sure. Where can you find them? In shops, probably. I know some restaurants who serve by the glass use bag-in boxes. That's actually a very good tool for a restaurant. Again, I use bottles and I use the Coravin, so that's another good idea. Hope that answers all of your questions. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.